dark. You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
Hello, race fans, and welcome to Sim Racing Media. We are live here in Austin, Texas, for the circuit of the Americas race in the Western States Racing League. I'm Liam Irvin. Got Mike DeMoney up here on the ones and twos. Mike, how you doing?
Not doing too bad. Glad to see a little bit of a road course. Was kind of hoping iRacing, would put St. Pete on, but here we are in Texas at COTA, so.
Yeah, unfortunately, we couldn't get St. Pete. I'm not sure that that one's licensed here on iRacing, so we're going to sit here and rock the Formula One circuit. Well, a good portion of it. We're going to take off, I believe. I'm not sure if it's the north end, but the tippy top part. Take away most of that long straightaway. Cut it hard left right after these S's. Get back into that super slow winding section to end the lap.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's see how many guys we get putting down a lap here as qualifying continues on here for another 2 or so minutes.
Yeah, looking at the qualifying, it takes just over, looks like a minute 45 to get around here. Definitely a change from where we were when we were last seeing these drivers from the Western States Racing League from the Daytona International Speedway.
going to have 38 laps for you here tonight. It's going to be a grueling race. It's going to be a huge mental game for these guys. They're going to want to be as picture perfect as they can. We'll take a look at some of this race info here. The track distance, just under 2.5 miles, 2.35. We've got 3 tire sets. There's going to be 3 attempts at a green-white checker, but I would be shocked if we saw a caution that would have to be manually thrown by the guys here. So fuel window, 15 to 18 laps, so expect 2 pit stops. However, you might see somebody try to stretch that, maybe 1 lap past the 18-lap mark, make it to 19, try to split this thing right in half. A 28x incident penalty here that's increased a little bit from the ovals due to these off tracks. And an important thing is through the S's, you do not want to get all 4 tires off of that red and white curbing. You got to keep at least 2 tires on it, because if you don't, you're going to have yourself a little bit of a penalty. That's going to be considered track cutting. That's going to be turns 3 through 6. The S's, you see, they're just on the kind of top left of that track map there. Elevation change is huge here, too. Not something that we're used to seeing a lot of in road courses, and you're going to see Matt Sisler give us a good look at that as he's going to go up this hill. Completed his 2nd lap here, but he's going to go up this huge hill, and that really helps these guys break into turn 1, allows them to be a little bit more aggressive. But you see that little bit of wheel hop. You could definitely be too aggressive here, Mike.
Yeah, you definitely can. We've seen these guys try and, cut the corner a little bit, try and get every ounce of speed they can. Especially, going through the S's, you feel pretty good from these oval guys, just kind of making their way through. But qualifying is over, and they are set to grid up here. It's going to be, looks like, a short field of, 11 drivers. Looks like the Jensens did not put down a qualifying lap. I don't know if they're going to jump on the grid or not.
I'm not entirely sure what they've got there, but should have 11 starting here for 38 laps at COTA.
Bob Beltrami gonna start on the pole tonight. Let these other drivers get in and we can start rolling down the track.
Yeah, still waiting on a couple of them to join here. We've got, it's like 7 on the grid so far. Waiting on Chad Stearns, Matt Sisler, both put down a lap. Sisler there in the 93. Julian Ricci also getting up in here. Dustin Burns, saw him in that Vegas Golden Knights 04 once again. Oh, Mike, that might be fun. We got the Seattle Kraken truck and the Vegas Golden Knight truck right up next to each other.
Jeez.
2 of the newest additions to the NHL list of teams.
Well, let's go ahead and bring up that starting grid. Bob Beltrami, Chad Stearns going to start in row 1. Row 2, Matt Sisler and William Fletcher. Row 3, Brian Barnes and David Weaver. Julian Ricci and Alan Bergen going to make up row 4. Row 5, Dustin Burns and Scott Patton. Scott Kukas and Jacob Jensen. And Shane Jensen, if they get on the field.
Heard on the radio, these guys are not super duper fond of the setup that was given to them by iRacing. So for anybody who might be looking at doing some officials this week, setup might give you a little twists and turns and extra challenges if you're into that sort of thing. Pace truck makes that hard left turn. And now these drivers get ready to make one more hard left turn before they get the green flag in their first road racing event of the season. Off of turn number, I'm not even sure which, since they changed the course layout. Bob Beltrami gonna lead them down. Pole sitter for, might even be the first time this year. Coming through, waiting for it. Waiting for it. Green flag is in the air. We are rolling here. Circuit of the Americas. First dive into turn number 1. Sisler's going to be hard out of the brakes. Get down to the inside of Bob Beltrami. Is he going to be able to keep it there? He's still side by side with him coming up off of the corner, but now he's going to have to relinquish that spot as here comes Chad Stearns through the inside of turn number 3. And this is that spot in the S's where you cannot allow all 4 tires off of the circuit. You've got to keep at least 2 tires on that red and white curbing. You see the 4 just skirting with it, that 28. That was a little bit closer. That's going to be a problem and a course-cutting penalty that you will have to slow down for if you find yourself in that position. As we work through this section of the racetrack, back onto the end of the long straightaway, Bob Beltrami has gotten away by about 1.5 seconds over Matt Sisler, who's got 3 seconds on this big gaggle of cars here. And just as we talked about the potential for the drivers to have a little bit of beef with those hockey teams, looks like they both had themselves a little bit of a coming together earlier on. We'll see if we can show you that in just a few moments as Chad Stearns trying to keep Julian Ricci behind him. Looks like a little bit of muscle used as Ricci's going to go around through the corner right in front of Weaver. He's going to be able to get it back straight, but a huge bottlenecking effort. And here comes Scott Patton making it 4 wide to take away what will be effectively the 5th position. Shane and Jacob Jensen have come to the race. They have gotten back onto the racetrack here, and we'll see what they can do starting from the pits. Wild first lap here so far. Bob Beltrami has a 1-second lead as he comes up off the final corner to take the first lap here. Matt Sisler in 2nd, Brian Barnes in 3rd, Chad Stearns 4th, and Scott Patton not far behind in 5th. Patton was the fastest driver here in practice so far today. He was fast by about 1 second, so expect him to work his way up, as right now he sits 10 seconds off of the race lead after just 1 lap. He's going to have a long way to go, 37 laps before we get to the end of this thing, as Julian Ricci defends there from William Fletcher. Fletcher goes a little bit wide coming up off of turn number 1, and things single file out here coming through the S's. Now taking a look at William Fletcher as he tries to draw back in on that rear bumper of Julian Ricci in the 97. That Chevy, the 97, running in 7th place as they go through turn 6, coming to turn 7, which is this huge, hard left-hand corner that comes out, jets out. There's a wall right there, so you've got to be extra careful. This corner you can take a lot more speed than you initially expect, and you see the 28 of William Fletcher doing just that, closing in on the 97 in front of him. While we talk about that, Matt Sisler is starting to put a bead on that number 14 Beltrami salami machine in front of him, getting within 0.5 second here as we're midway through the 2nd lap, closing in on this long, sweeping, wide radius right-hand corner. It's actually a sequence of 4 or 5 of them connected by small straights, but the way you take it, it's going to be wide. You see, speaking of wide, Ricci going wide, and Sisler going wide there as he tries to close in once again on Beltrami. Nice run through the middle of the corner, but Beltrami gets the power down on exit. Fletcher looking to the outside through the sweeper, gets that pass complete on Julian Ricci, and now he's going to get heavy into the braking zone, go a little bit wide. Ricci tries to stick the nose down there, but doesn't quite have enough momentum for the crossover move. Into the final corner, I believe it's turn 12. Going to try to close in, and he gets himself a nice exit, moves down to the left side. He's going to try to get a little bit of a run here. Like, I know we don't talk a lot about side draft here. This is going to be one of the few times on a road course where it's actually acceptable.
Yeah, you have that straightaway, so you can kind of get there and take away a little bit of it as Ricci takes the inside.
New leader up front, Matt Sisler.
Oh my gosh, there is action all over the track.
Got the wall there.
Wow.
Man, I was like, I just talked for 2.5 laps straight. Let me give Mike a turn, and then immediately things happening sideways. Goes to 97. He's around.
Oh my gosh.
And around goes Alan Bergen as well, following suit. He's going to get in the gravel trap, but be able to drive it away That red line on his truck. Tisk tisk. And Fletcher has a problem there as well. You see him gassing up and burning out away from that problem. Coming up just off a turn at number 7. Matt Sisler and Bob Beltrami, though, continuing to trade blows for the lead. Scott Patton still around 10 seconds behind these guys. Not quite showing that pace that he had in practice. And Beltrami, you see him slipping, sliding around. That thing is loosey-goosey. He was talking before the race about how he wasn't super fond of the setup. Trying to swing it around there and get that thing to quarter a little bit better than that 93. But Matt Sisler currently driving it away.
Yeah, Beltrami loose coming down the front straightaway here. Trying to close in, but the man that's the fastest on the track is the guy we talked to quite a bit, and that's Jacob Jensen. He had to start in the pits, but he just put down a lap that is almost a half second faster than Matt Sisler did.
Yeah, that last time around, he was actually over a second and a half quicker, and yeah, little, just 51 hundredths, just over half a second quicker than Matt Sisler's fastest lap of the race. So Jacob Jensen can keep that up right now. He's 43 seconds back, but if he can gain more than 1 second per lap, technically, it's possible. The mathematics work out.
Yeah, the math does math. As he goes by Scott Kukas, he's already up to P10 already.
Yeah, and Scott Kukas and Dustin Burns, I think, got together on the first lap there. We'll try to see if we can get a look at it in just a few moments here. But something happened between those guys that got them a significant distance behind the race lead already, within that first lap.
Just a little stop on the initial corner.
Oh, okay. Nothing major. Take a look at Jacob Jensen working his way through that rumble strip down the back straightaway, the shortened back straightaway. Mike, I tell you what, man, I kind of wish they would have, maybe run this thing like 20, 24 laps with the long course instead of 38 laps at the short course, because that long straightaway is such an amazing setup for the passing opportunity. You can really, really get in somebody's head and cause them to overdrive that corner. So you see Jacob Jensen working the outside, Allenbergen sliding that right or left rear. Usually seeing the right rear slide on that 64 on an oval. This time he's getting the left rear sliding a little bit on the outside of a right-hand corner. Working his way past Allenbergen, though, into 9th place. He's got Julian Ricci just 2.5 seconds up the road from him, and it's 43.5 seconds to the race leader. When he comes across the stripe, he will have 34 to go. But Matt Sisler is already working his way down that back straightaway. He's gotten himself a 2-second gap over Bob Beltrami. Beltrami doing what he can to try to keep those tires under him. I think he might be kind of conceding just a little bit, racing the track more than he's trying to chase down the car in front of him. That's not a bad move at this point. You can definitely see the driver in front make a mistake. This is a very difficult, very technical, very slow racetrack, and these trucks have a lot of torque, especially if you're in first gear coming through some of these corners. Get those tires worn down, Mike. You're going to be slipping and sliding and might possibly be spinning coming up off of one of these things.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the tracks you're going to want to have those tires, as you see Beltrami kind of slide around. The thing where Bob sits right now, yeah, he's losing time to Matt Sisler, but he still has 6 seconds over Chad Stearns back in third, so he can kind of take his time, get those tires to stay under him and just log some laps here. It's still a long race. I mean, we've got, 32 more laps, so.
Now, let's not forget about Scott Patton in that 46 as well. There's another second behind Chad Stearns to Scott Patton. He's running a little bit quicker lap times than the drivers in front that last time by a 1:44.62, actually just a 10th off of his fastest lap of the race. Did a pretty good job with that one coming around, and he's within now 9 seconds of the race lead. It was upwards of 10 and a half last time we talked about this number 46 Chevy Silverado. He's doing a pretty good job in that Stone River Outlets New England Racing Museum 46th machine. Closing in now on Chad Stearns for the final podium position. And then, like you said, Mike, it's going to be about 6 seconds clear before he gets up to second place.
Yeah, definitely. They are on kind of on their own, like, separate race here. As after Brian Barnes here, they've got almost 20 seconds back to sixth place. So it's kind of the top five and then a race with everybody else for the most part. Jacob Jensen's starting to close in on that seventh place here as he's just about 3 seconds back.
Yeah, 3 seconds off of seventh place, but that last lap around was up above the 146 mark. The 64, he's using up a lot of tires trying to chase down the race lead. Currently standing at about 43 and a half seconds back. 32 laps to go when they come across the stripe this time around. You want to try to bring that closer to about 1.25 seconds per lap so that you can try to make up enough time, especially with pit stops coming up. So you can try to make up enough time on the leaders, get to where you need to go. I don't know if he's going to be able to make it to or past lap 19, having come in, or rather started from the pit lane, didn't have to run that extra half a lap. I just don't know how much of an advantage that would be. Lifting and coasting and clutching, though, you find a good spot to do that on this racetrack. That might be able to save you that lap of gas that you're looking for. Also, short shifting.
Yeah, short shifting, and with the elevation changes, if you time it just right, I'm sure you can save a little bit here and there. Ooh, Sisler gets
a bit of a loose moment there at a Matt Sisler. Currently 3 seconds ahead, but that cost him about 1/10 or 2 coming up off of the corner. He's going to try to get it right back in that braking zone. Entering turn number 9. We'll call this 10. Super hard right-hander here. I tell you what, Mike, every time I practiced, that corner got me. I knew it was coming after the long straightaway, or shortened straightaway, but it still got me every time. You just don't realize how slow that part of the track is going to be, especially compared to how quickly you were just running the first half of the racetrack.
Yeah, that's what makes COTA kind of unique, is you have these areas where you can carry a lot of speed, and then all of a sudden it slows down, and you got to be really technical about where you put your truck.
Last time around, Scott Patton was about 0.8 slower than your race leader. Jacob Jensen was about 0.8 quicker. Either one of those guys hitting the number that they need to if they want to match their way to the front at the end. But remember, we do have at least one pit stop, potentially 2. And if you're going to make this a 2 pit stop race, the window opens this time around. They say roughly 15 to 18 laps of fuel. So even if you were at the lower end of that range, you're still going to be able to make it to the end from here if you come in at the end of lap number 8 on one more stop. Is that going to happen? I don't know. Because that would mean you spend 8 laps on your first set of tires and 15 laps on both of your next sets. Remember, I believe these guys are only allotted 3 sets of tires.
Yeah.
2 in the pits, along with the one that they start with. No, 4 sets. They've got 3 sets in the pits, along with the one that they start with. So if they wanted to try to make a little bit of a gamesmanship out of it, right now, Matt Sisler is 3 seconds slower than his fastest lap of the race. It is possible we see somebody try to, come in around 10, 20, and then 30.
Yeah, I think if you're going to do that, that's exactly what you would try and do. I imagine, though, they're going to try and get as far as they can.
Yeah, this is a long pit road, and you got to be at 35 miles per hour throughout the whole thing. I know it's a road course, you're not going to lose a lap, but the amount of time that you could lose in pit lane, it might not be worth the risk. We'll have to see when people start peeling off how long it's going to take for them to completely go through the pit cycle. So you see that 04 going to go 1 lap down.
Yeah. Stayed way wide, stayed out of the way, and let him go.
Kind move. A lot of separation here in the field, although Scott Patton starting to close back in on Chad Stearns. For third place, this battle. Oh, Sisler with a little bit of wheel hop gets sideways. Dustin Burns gets very deep. Bob Beltrami is going to be able to cut down into that lead. Oh, no, he wasn't able to because the 04 was in his exit. Unfortunate situation there. Beltrami unable to take advantage. But Chad Stearns was just passed by Scott Patton down the back straightaway. Put that 46 car up into third place. He is less than 9 seconds behind your race leader and closing in. We'll see if he's going to be able to close in enough to make it there in time for this pit stop. Or if the fresh tires undercut, overcut, going to throw a wrench into his plans, trying to chase these guys down. He goes a little bit wide there. Stearns moves down to the left side, the inside of that corner, but he's able to get the run coming up off. Keeps Stearns behind him by a couple of car lengths. Now, 2 different lines here through the wide, sweeping right-hander. See a lot of guys get really sideways through this corner. Chad Stearns able to stay right near that 2 car length mark behind the 46 of Scott Patton. Closing in on this final corner, though. This is a heavy braking zone. 05 not close enough to be able to do something with it. So if he gets himself a nice run coming up off of the corner, might be able to do something getting up into turn 1. You've got a big draft here down the front straightaway and going uphill. Going to give you a little bit more aggression on the braking. Nah, he's not close enough this time. Able to get it to within a car length, and it seems like he's staying in second gear for that. Doesn't want to spin those tires going through turn number 1. Not a bad call, but I think early on in the run, when you're on these fresh tires, you're going to want to take the first gear while you still get the grip.
Yeah, you're going to want to take advantage of having that grip because it goes away pretty quick from what we can tell here as these guys are running almost 4 seconds off of their best lap times. So tire wear is definitely coming to fruition here. So we'll see if these guys elect to come down pit lane, here in, a couple laps maybe.
I think if you're going to do a 2-stop strategy and try to split it evenly, which might be the safest bet here, given the fact that we're not going to see any caution flags, you're going to want to come in right around that lap 13 mark. Maybe 12 if you want to try the undercut, but you come in right around 13. It sets you up for about 12 to 13 laps each time. 13 on that first one, pit on 26 for that second stint, then you come home 12 laps to the finish. That's going to be the best way to try to equalize the wear on those tires.
Yeah, definitely seems that way as we're looking at Jacob Jensen. He is still 40 seconds back from Matt Sisler, but he is driving that 64 machine for all it's worth here as you see him kind of slide around a little bit on corner exit.
That last time around, he's at 1:45.05. A second quicker than Matt Sisler's last lap and almost 2 seconds quicker than the one before that. So he is starting to kind of close in a bit more. Got some later run pace. See how long he can continue that for us. Shane Jensen has himself a problem coming out of the final corner. He's going to drive it away. Dustin Burns, he's had himself a rough day so far. Doesn't seem to be a lot of damage on that truck, but there's been some off tracks.
Scott Kukas now in front of Bob Beltrami. Bob Beltrami is going to go wide as Kukas stays down low. And Beltrami gets by. Scott Patton also by.
Interesting thing to note here, Mike. Take a look here on my own screen and see the top speeds the drivers have hit. Bob Beltrami in second place has hit the top speed of the day so far with 160 mile an hour. Matt Sisler, your race leader's top speed of the race so far was 148. So I'm not sure where Bob got to that 160. But he's definitely got some speed in that truck. It's just a matter of finding where he can apply it in a place that 93 in front of him isn't. And as that gap increases to 7 seconds here before this first pit stop, you got to wonder if now it becomes worrying about second place Scott Patton, who is now within a second and a half, almost within a second now down the front straightaway, moving up the hill into turn number 1. Battle going to be on here for a second, very, very shortly.
Yeah, definitely is, as Beltrami slows down through turn 1 here.
Now that first time there through the SS, oh, Bob, that's close. That's about as close as you could get. He might have gotten himself a little slow down here. We'll see what happens coming up off of this corner, if he stays a little slow, or if he's going to try to just hope it kind of settles out. But either way, Scott Patton is there into the heavy braking zone before the left-hander. Patton going to try to get that better exit here. Beltrami uses the momentum, goes off the track just a little bit, but holds on to about a 2-car length advantage, getting into this slower, we'll call it the stadium section of the Circuit of the Americas. Back into this hard left-hander. These guys are getting into second, maybe even first gear down here in this section of the racetrack. Sounds like second for Bob, and not a lot of wheel spin on it, so I think that's a safe assumption. Getting up to third gear for a moment there, back down to second through this, and you want to be really easy on the throttle. This wide sweeper, it's easy to get the truck light here, especially in the rear end. Heavy braking zone in the penultimate corner, where Bob's going to go a little bit wide. Right on board with him as he sets up for the final corner here. Mashes the gas to get off of it as best as he can, and that was a very poor exit by Bob. He's going to go way wide, clip the grass. Scott Patton's going to go through for second. Chad Stearns not too far behind here either. He's going to try to make it a twofer and find himself on the podium. You got to wonder if now Bob is thinking, is this the time to make that pit stop? Working lap number 13. We've got 26 laps to go. This would be the perfect opportunity to separate this race into thirds. Therefore, have an equal amount of wear on your tires all the way throughout. Ooh, Patton gets a little bit wide. Beltrami all over his rear bumper, getting into a heavy braking zone, setting up a hard left-hander. Little bit of contact to the rear end, but everybody moves through okay. Advantage Scott Patton coming through this corner. Going to be advantage Scott Patton again, but Chad Stearns saw all that and said, hey, that looks fun. I think I want to be a part of that. So he tries to close in on this heavy braking zone into yet another tough and slow left-hander. Bob is going wide coming up off of these corners, Mike. You got to wonder if that's indicative of how that truck is handling, or if he's just pushing it a little bit too hard right now.
I think it has something to do with handling, because you can see when he does try and narrow them up a little bit, he slides a lot more. So I think those tires are pretty much on their way out, and he's just trying to minimize the damage that it's caused, as Chad Stearns is all over his rear bumper. As we're watching this battle here, Scott Kukas went off the track and elected to jump to the pits, so I think he's probably going to call it a day, unless he's towing, but he's been in there for almost a minute now.
Chad's going to be able to get by Bob here. Bob is going to stay out. Big time lockup there on the right front, going into the final corner for Bob Beltrami. He's going to drop back to fourth position after that pass, put Chad Stearns up into third. Still about an 8-second gap between first and second, but nobody is in between them now.
Yeah, no, nobody's in between them, and looks like Alan Bergen might be listening to the broadcast as he came down pit lane.
Jacob Jensen, I believe, is within 37 seconds of the race lead. Nope, it's still up to 40. Thought my math was mathing, but still sitting at 40 seconds back with going to be 25 laps to go. Starting to become a more unsurmountable task. He's 17.5 seconds behind Brian Barnes, so he still definitely has a chance at a top 5. It's 30 seconds up to Bob Beltrami. Don't forget, we've got pit stops coming up here within the next 5 laps. Maybe 6. If these guys can make it 6 laps, they can make it to the end.
Yeah. William Fletcher slow on track. Weaver.
Haven't talked much about Weaver. You kind of expect as Julian Ricci goes wide there, going to lose a spot to, or it's actually not for position. Ricci is 1 lap down. Brian Barnes in 5th place that just got around him.
Yeah, definitely kind of a tale of 2 packs here. And Jacob Jensen has got to be thinking what might have been if he would have been a couple minutes early and made it at least to the grid.
I mean, unless Jacob plans on going all the way to the end on 1 stop, I don't know why he doesn't make a pit stop right now. If he thinks he can make it to halfway before needing to pit, by all means, keep doing what you're doing. But if you can't, split it up. Do it up in thirds. Get fresh tires on it. Chase him down harder.
Yeah, it looks like a 2-tire stop is going to cost you about 50 seconds in pit lane. Or 4-tire stop, sorry.
Yeah, 4-tire stop. It's going to cost you about 50 seconds in the pits. Yeah. That's going to be a lot to ask for. Matt Sisler still putting down 146.19. Remember, he got his first win of his career earlier this season. After a couple of second places and getting passed by Charlie on the last lap, finally got himself the win.
Yeah, he was able to get a win at the Nashville Super Speedway.
Yeah, race number 3 on the season. Hoping to get another one here. And once again, he got passed by Charlie Widener a couple of times last year. Within actually the last 4 or 5 races of the season. He was heartbroken about that. One of them was at Charlotte, and I believe another one was potentially Talladega. But doing pretty good here in that 3 birdies Toyota Tundra. Number 93, looking pretty strong here. Led just about every lap. He chased down Bob Beltrami. Got around him on lap 3?
Yeah.
And if we were to look at our lap leaders, we would see just the 2. Bob Beltrami for the first 2 laps.
3.
First 3 laps, my bad. And Matt Sisler ever since. Made a really stout run for that number 93. They've got a lot of momentum moving into this race, coming in off of a win just 3 weeks ago or just last month in Nashville.
Yeah, Scott Patton was the fastest in practice, and you can see here he has gained the most positions. Jacob Jensen is only up 6 at the moment. And he is losing time.
Actually, as a matter of fact, Mike, that Nashville start was Sisler's only start on the season I'm seeing here.
Oh.
And he was able to get the job done there. He's quite possibly looking at going for 2 for 2 here.
Dang. I did not realize that that he had only made that 1 start. Yeah, 1 start. Wow.
Stats courtesy of SimRacerHub.com. It really looks, Mike, like there's only that first. The drivers seem to be a little bit more comfortable using more of the rumble strip on the right-hand turns than they are on the left-hand turns. So now we take a look at Scott Patton, who is fallen back down to 10 seconds behind the race leader. Last time around, it was half a second quicker. Bob Beltrami may have had himself some sort of issue there for a moment.
Yeah, it says he did.
We can jump back to that. Oh, my bad.
Let's see what happened to Bob. coming up to turn 1. Oh.
Yeah, just got in there way too hot. Had to check up very hard to keep her there. But Chad Stearns, he's chased back down to Scott Patton for second place. He's within half a second, or 2/3 of a second through this long sweeping right-hander in the stadium section. Trying to close in and retake that second place that he was able to hold on to for a short amount of time. Actually, no, he hasn't been able to do it. Here comes Scott Patton into the pits, and Chad Stearns going to follow him.
Oh!
Scott Patton into the wall, Kyle Larson style. He's going to lose some time for that, and that's going to probably be... I don't know, it doesn't look too terrible, but that's going to be some optional repair. They're going to have to take care of that.
Yeah, Bob Beltrami looks like he did almost the same thing.
I think Beltrami did the same thing.
Oh, no, not quite.
Not quite. He was able to keep it off of the barrier there, but still a tough break there for the number 46. He's flying through the field for the first half of this run, and unfortunately going to collect himself into the wall. Late move by Stearns to come into pit. He was able to make that turn a little bit better. Doesn't really look like that caused a lot of damage to that 46, though. He's back out on the racetrack, and he's going to be a little bit quicker than the race leader, but he's going to have to take advantage of these tires. As yeah, you can see the left or the right front rather of that machine has got a little bit of fold to it. It's not going to be the most aromatic, as Tom Mater said.
Yeah, it definitely did not help his cause there, but Bob Beltrami's still in pit lane. I don't see a flag or anything, but Matt Sisler coming in.
Yeah, when everybody behind you comes in like that, you almost have to. We'll see if Brian Barnes, Jacob Jensen, they're still out on the racetrack now. We will see if they try to make it one more lap. Or is the window open now to make it to the end? Was that 15 to 18 potentially a little bit of a low ball? Could we be looking at a 17 to 20 type of situation?
Well, Brian Barnes is still going out on track, so.
Jensen is coming in this time. Sisler pulls out of the pits, and see Bob Beltrami finally getting out of the pits. And Matt Sisler, having made his pit stop, is only 4 seconds behind the race leader, Brian Barnes. Barnes was 5th place before these pit stops started.
So if they're coming in now on lap 18, and they only can make it to
looking at 20 to 21 laps to make it to the finish.
Guess we'll see what Brian Barnes does here.
And they could potentially be looking at a splash and go.
That's what I was thinking.
Oh, Beltrami almost gets into the back of Barnes there.
Yeah, Barnes hard on the brakes.
Got those fresher tires, so he's able to get hard on the brakes like that, but being very respectful of the situation that Brian Barnes is in right now. He knows he's got second place behind him, and this is absolutely a battle for position. We'll see how this all plays out, because if everybody does have to make one more stop, including Brian Barnes, he is likely going to come in, take 4 tires this time around. After that, if somebody else is going to have to make a pit stop, such as Matt Sisler, would expect them to come in and take no tires. Quick splash of gas, and Barnes is staying out one more. Sisler's going to get through Beltrami. He's going to have a nice run down the stretch. Not quite close enough to make a move off the corner, but he's definitely going to have the power under braking as Barnes moves down to the bottom to try to defend. Sisler goes all the way to the left. Barnes gets a little bit of wheel lock, and they hit getting into turns 1 and 2. Matt Sisler very aggressive to take away the race lead, He's going to try to run away with this thing. Tell you what, Matt, if Matt Sisler doesn't have to make another pit stop, this is his race to lose. Brian Barnes can make it to the end from here. Just one more stop, and everybody else has to pit. He's going to be in good shape too.
Yeah, if Matt Sisler can make it to the end, and it's 18 to 20 laps, so Sisler went 18 and is going to ride the next 20 on this second stint here. He might be good to go. Brian Barnes going to hang out a couple more extra laps and have the fresher tires at the end of the race. We'll see if that's going to matter too much here. Right now, if he comes down pit lane, he's going to be...
a slide there out of Sisler, and you do not want to cook these tires early on in the run. He's got a huge gap on Chad Stearns, who will be second place once Brian Barnes makes his first pit stop of the race. And another huge slide out of Sisler. He almost goes off the track in that wide sweeping right-hander. We talk about how easy it is to get the truck light there, and that camera angle showed it for just a brief moment. There is a little bit of a hill, a little bit of a crest right at the apex of one of those corners, so that could really upset the trucks as the weight shifts across to the right side, or to the left side over that hump.
Yeah, Brian Barnes coming in now.
Barnes.
Yeah, I'll say if he spends about the same amount of time, he'll come out probably 4th or 5th place, so not losing too much time here.
Yeah, he should be somewhere right around that Jacob Jensen area, a little bit further back potentially.
Yeah.
But he will have fresher tires by about 3 laps. See if he's going to be able to take advantage of that. That last time around, Matt Sisler, with the slide that he had, about 2 seconds slower than the drivers behind him. He lost 2 seconds out of that lead. It was up to 11 seconds, now down to 9. Kind of regaining some of that back, though, as this is a very fast section of the racetrack for him. Mike, I think one of the things about these trucks that makes road racing so exciting is that you can drive as hard as you need to. You can slip and slide these things around. You can make mistakes. And it's not necessarily going to hurt your chances of winning. I mean, too big of a mistake definitely will. But you see Sisler out front. Gets himself a little bit sideways there. Really bad section of the track to get sideways and lose momentum. Loses 2 seconds on the lap. And what does he do? He just gets right back onto it. He's already half a second up from where he was last time we talked. This time coming across the line, or last time I brought it up. This time across the line, he's going to be back up over that 10-second range.
Yeah, it is definitely going to be his race to lose with that 93 Three Birdies Toyota out front here. Chad Stearns trying to close in, but pitted a lap ahead of Sisler, so he's got a little bit of time to make up. And Scott Patton also pitted on lap 17, so see if these guys can make any headway here, or if everybody's going to have to make that one more splash and go pit stop. Who's going to come in win?
Yeah, Matt Sisler was able to get up to 160 for his top speed. The other fast speeds we've seen, Brian Barnes has allegedly gotten up to 199, but I think that's a glitch. Now, yep, it's gone back down to 139. That seems a little bit more appropriate. Jacob Jensen, fastest lap of the race, 143.35. That last time by, a 143.83. Half a second quicker than your race leader. So 38 seconds back as David Weaver has had himself an off-track excursion.
I got out into that gravel there. Allen had a Allen experience.
Oh. Sisler had a slide. This time around, it's gonna it looks like it should be advantage for Stearns, as Sisler had a really big slide there coming through the final 2 corners. Take a look at the times as they come across the start-finish line, and last time around, it's about a half a second in favor of Chad Stearns. Not going to be enough to chip away at that lead at this stage in the game with just 16 laps to go. But at the same time, take what you can get. If he keeps making mistakes, and if he's really wearing out those tires, it's going to be able to potentially chase him down, as Alan Bergen had himself another Allen experience, jumped to the pits. Might be the end of his day.
Yeah, let's see what happens there. Jacob Jensen still hanging on for P4 right now. Only 36 and a half seconds back.
Now that last time by, he was a second and a half quicker. I think he's going to need more than 2 seconds at this point, though.
Yeah,
2 seconds per.
Yeah, he's going to have Matt Sisler make some huge mistakes in order to
Oh,
get in.
Brian Barnes in the 4 pulls off.
Yeah, Brian Barnes looks like he had an issue there.
Keep you updated there. He hasn't pulled to the pits yet, so he might be able to continue on from where he's at. Obviously, some sort of issue with the hardware and or software of that rig, not allowing him to continue for the time being. Still stopped there on the racetrack, and I wonder if maybe he had a monitor go out or something like that, just pulled it to the left. Ian Fletcher's going to get around him for position in that 28 Haviland machine.
Am I seeing that right, Liam? William Fletcher has not hit pit road yet?
I'm seeing the same thing, and if that is the case, then we definitely got snookered. Everybody can make it to the end, and William Fletcher still needs to make a pit stop. I've never had this software not tell me when somebody makes pit stop, so I have every reason to believe that he has not yet come in after 23 completed laps. Gotta wonder if Ford's paying him a little bit under the table. You know, he's got the only Ford in this machine in this field. Maybe it's possible that Ford Motor Company is doing a little bit of testing to try to maximize their fuel mileage, as he does complete a 23rd lap before coming in and making a pit stop.
Shane Jensen back in pit lane.
Yeah, he's really had himself a rough day, Shane Jensen. He's been off the track, he's been in the wall, he's been in the gravel. Not had himself the fanciest day. Brian Barnes back to moving. Mike, look at all that gravel coming up off of turn number 38.
Yeah, so does that actually affect these guys?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it can definitely get them a little bit upset, you know, kind of the same way that the marbles can at the top side of an oval track when it's not used up properly.
William Fletcher had a moment.
Yeah, you gotta wonder if he's gonna come in for those tires sometime soon here.
And he's really not going to lose any positions. I mean, he might lose a couple, but nothing major for that 28 Ford there.
Well, yeah, and he's gonna have those fresher tires, so might be able to close in on Bob Beltrami with the fresh tires, and Brian Barnes, who might still be able to get back around him. But here comes the 28 machine in to the pits. He's going to be pretty gentle on that entry, make sure he doesn't do what Scott Patton in the 46 did and bump into that wall, what Bob did, and almost completely miss pit road. Matt Sisler just hoping that nothing happens in front of him and that he can keep all 4 tires underneath him. The gap is less than 9 seconds now. But with 14 to go, Chad Stearns is going to have to gain about 8 tenths per lap, if not more, to close in and have a chance at making the pass for the win here at the end.
Yeah, he's going to have to do some fancy driving to catch up there. He only was quarter second faster last lap, so definitely not enough at the moment.
No, but every time Sisler gets himself one of those little sideways moments, that costs him a couple of tenths. You add in a couple of those, you get those tires all hot and greasy, he's going to be struggle busting as we get towards the end of this thing.
Well, and Chad Stearns has Bob Beltrami in front of him too, so has to deal a little bit with traffic here.
Can't imagine Bob's going to be too aggressive here to hold on to this position on track. This is a really important section of the racetrack, and you can see he's actually taking it pretty easy through there. A little bit of a slide on exit. But that is a really, really bad place to lose momentum. Bad place to slide, because that will heat up those tires. That's a lot of speed that you're carrying through that corner. And a lot of load that that left rear is taking. Appreciate everybody tuning in live here on the YouTube chat. Get that pulled up here for... I've been distracted by all this racing. I haven't been able to take a look at it. Ain't much to look at. But we appreciate you guys tuning in. Let us know who you're rooting for. We'll definitely get them up on your television sets. Won't have to adjust the antennas or anything like that. Right now, Matt Sisler continues to lead. Scott Patton, though, sitting in 3rd place. He's been a little bit quicker than your leader. Just not quite enough to close in on Chad Stearns in front of him.
Definitely not.
Jacob Jensen has cut his gap down to 31 seconds there, Mike.
He's definitely the fastest guy on track, and he's got to be thinking what might have been if he would have been able to, get in his truck before the green flag dropped and not have to start from the pits. But, I mean, up 8 spots, including the start at pit lane. I mean, fastest guy on the track by, he's what, fastest lap, so half a second from the fastest lap, so...
Gap under 8 seconds between Stearns and Sisler. 7.5 across the start-finish line. Almost a second quicker there for the P2 machine of Chad Stearns. Scott Patton starting to close in as well on the race leader. Jacob Jensen almost a second quicker than Chad Stearns, but he is really going to run out of time here.
Yeah, he is definitely racing the clock.
Yeah, you do have to wonder what could be for Jacob Jensen in this race. We saw him in the practice session. He fell out due to upload packet loss. So I mean, he was here. He was ready to rock and rumble, but unfortunately, neither him or Shane could get in until just after the grid, maybe even just after the green flag. So they had to wait an extended amount of time before they could even leave the pit area. Definitely put them behind the 8 ball, but Jacob Jensen doing a good recovery as Julian Ricci doing a little landscaping, but recovering nicely from that as well.
And Chad Stearns right behind him, seeing that, has got to be like, oh man, come on.
He's like, come on, man, I'm starting to do everything right. I just need you not where you are. This time around, it looks like Sisler's going to be able to take the advantage back by a couple of tenths.
Well, guess while these guys have... Oh,
Ricci's going to go a little wide. It's going to cost Chad Stearns some time. I'm not sure if they hit, but Ricci just moves way to the left side.
got left. Let Scott Patton go right by. Chad Stearns like, where was that for me? As he is now almost back to 9 seconds back. He's closed it back into under 9, but it's going to be an almost near impossible task here, especially with Scott Patton closing in on his rear bumper for that second place.
Oh, he cannot worry about Scott at all. Does not matter what's behind him right now. He's just got to focus on running perfect laps. We're now sitting just under 9 seconds behind Matt Sisler, your race leader, who is now coming up to that 04 of Justin Burns that could potentially cause him a little bit of grief coming through, any particularly slow section or medium section of the racetrack that he can't easily make the pass. So he might be able to catch him down the front straightaway.
Definitely. Well,
9 laps to go for the race leader.
I'll say, while we have a minute, let's take 1 minute to throw our sponsor commercial in, and we'll get right back to racing. Won't miss anything. We'll go side by side real quick and be right back.
Premier Racing Setups is the longest running setup shop on iRacing. Our monthly subscription options start as low as $20 a month. We offer setups for dirt oval, asphalt oval, and road racing, covering a wide range of cars and skill levels. Built and tested by top-tier sim racers, this isn't just a business, it's a community of competitive drivers. If you want to better your iRacing experience, head over to PremierRacingSetups.com today. And remember, if you don't get one, you're going to chase one.
All right, welcome back, everybody. You didn't miss anything as we were side by side. Matt Sisler still driving away. Chad Stearns in second. Scott Patton and Jacob Jensen are the only drivers on the lead lap as Jensen gets a little issue there.
Not a lot of time left here. Coming to 7 laps to go when Matt Sisler comes across the start-finish line. And well, we know how road racing goes here on iRacing. Things definitely do get spread out. You definitely see a guy get out to a big lead, and sometimes you see a couple of cars that just can't quite get away from each other. And well, to be fair, this race has done just that. Although I don't think you would have expected Matt Sisler to be the guy to drive away on a road course. He was pretty stout at Watkins Glen last season. But doing a phenomenal job. I know Jacob Jensen is able to close in within 26 seconds now. He's definitely one of the quickest cars on the racetrack and running plenty quicker than Matt Sisler is, who actually had a very terrible lap there, a 1:47.46. Compared to a 1:46.89 behind him, that's not going to cost him the lead or anything here, but you don't want to keep making mistakes like that. You don't want to keep having slow laps, because any bit that you lose on the gap, you know, that's just more opportunity that somebody's going to be able to have if you do make a big mistake.
Yeah, I mean, you can make the little mistakes, you know, a half second here or there, but when you wind up costing yourself a second and a half, 2 seconds, I mean, that 8-second lead can evaporate really quickly.
Right. And I mean, he does have a huge gap. There are certain sections of this racetrack where he could probably just crank it right, do a donut real quick, and get her back going without losing the lead.
Yeah.
Obviously, you'd never want to do that, but you're starting to get into that 8-second, under 8-second, 7-second range where if you do have a big slide at a bad spot, you find yourself going off the racetrack into the grass right before a high-speed section, you could be within a second or so of losing that lead, and all of a sudden, you've got a pressure that you haven't had to face all day.
Dustin Burns having an off-track issue.
So around a 1:46.72 for Matt Sisler. Much better than his previous time, and I believe he's going to be a hair quicker than the driver behind. No, he's a hair slower. 1/100th slower than Chad Stearns, but tell you what, with 7 laps to go, 6 laps to go now, hundredths do not cut it. You need seconds.
Yeah, you need a second a lap, and it's still going to be not enough.
Scott Patton, however, he's not letting that 05 get away. Bad corner there for Chad Stearns, and that's going to allow Scott Patton to basically cut that lead in half. Not lead, but, you know, that gap. It was over a second. Now it's less than half a second into the braking zone. Chad Stearns able to get a little bit more distance. He seems to be able to hit those brakes a little bit harder, a little bit more aggressively, and then get the truck pointed where he wants to go. Scott Patton trying to attack the corners aggressively on the entrance, but it's really costing him in the middle and on exit.
Yeah, that gap's back out to a second. Maybe 5 to go when Sisler gets to the line.
Five to go for Sisler. Going to be 5 to go for this battle for second. It's 1 second separating these two drivers. Chad Stearns in second over Scott Patton. Of course, your race leader still Matt Sisler. Jacob Jensen sits in 4th. Bob Beltrami in 5th. And that is your Star Wars version of the numbering order of your top 5. Just because I didn't start with one. Thought that would... Anyways, Bob Beltrami just getting a little wheel hop, and now here comes Matt Sisler closing in on David Weaver. Not the ideal place to catch him, but he should be able to get around him on the straightaway. Oh, even before Weaver just checks it up and gets out of the way.
It's like Weaver parked it on the corner.
Battle closing in once again for second place. Chad Stearns has got 0.4 of a second over third place Scott Patton now. Half a second, and it really seems like the first half of this track favors Patton. The second half of this track favors Chad Stearns. See if we can ride on board here with Scott Patton for the next lap or so and really see where these gains are made and lost versus the driver in front. Look at the fishtailing there that wiggle out of Chad Stearns in front of him. Seems like that 05 is willing to be just a little bit more aggressive on his tires, his rear tires especially. Coming through this final corner, it's about 0.7 of a second, so 0.2 in the advantage of Scott Patton. Maybe 1/10 this last time around. Nowhere near close enough to make the move, but he's going to dive it in, utilize all of that elevation there, that big hill up into one. He saw just a touch of wheel lock. That's why he had to turn it to the right. Got a little bit loose on the braking. He's going to come through these S's, and this is that key spot where you don't want to let your tires get off of those rumble strips. You cut those rumble strips entirely, that is a coursed cutting penalty. Not like NASCAR where you could have all four on the other side and still call it good. That's such a sketchy corner there, Mike. That tire barrier is right next to you. You want to get as close as you can. You pretty near want to be able to reach out your fingers and touch it. Obviously, you don't want to do that part of it, but that's how close you want to be. Chad Stearns, those last couple times, was getting closer to the outside wall than he was to the inside tire barrier. That time, he looked pretty impressive.
Ooh.
They come up on David Weaver. This lap, big advantage for Chad Stearns. Now this time through the sweeper. Take this blimp view. I don't think the 16 of Weaver is going to get in anybody's way. He's already kind of shown his willingness to.
Yeah, get out of the way.
Yeah, to completely just run a different line and get out of the way. We'll probably do that down the front straightaway here. Yep, all the way down to the inside just to let these guys go by. Might try to slide in between them here for this turn.
Yeah, it looks like he basically stopped.
Yeah, he was letting Scott go through. 7.5 seconds behind your race leader, but with only 3 laps to go, this battle for second looks to be the closest thing that we've got right now. No, just as I say that, Jacob Jensen gets into Bob Beltrami as they race with Brian Barnes here. This is a pass for position. Actually, no, it's not. Jacob Jensen is almost a lap in front of Brian Barnes. Bob Beltrami and Brian Barnes was a pass for position, and Beltrami could want that number 4 truck to come back to him. Get that spot back. This is a battle for the top 5 with Jacob Jensen in the center of the sandwich.
Yeah, Jacob Jensen driving the wheels off that 64 machine, trying to get up into the podium position here, but he has got 14.5 seconds, so that pretty much has set sail, and he has over almost 2 minutes.
Ricci's in a bad spot there for the Chad Stearns machine.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Going to get out of the way. Scott Patton's going to get around him as well, but that gap closed back down a little bit. I really think Chad Stearns got the better truck at this stage in the game. Let me tell you, man, when you're this close, when Scott Patton is this close, you are one slip up away from losing that position. I know Chad's not really racing a lot for points. He's also only made the 1 start this year.
I find it funny that 2 of the drivers have made 1 other start, and their second start is a road course. in most leagues, you see that completely opposite. They'll start at the super speedways and what have you, and completely avoid the road courses.
Like, I tell you what, I'm hoping this is my full-time return to full-time league racing. I'm doing CTC on Monday nights. But race number 2 is at Lime Rock Park. I'm going to have to practice a lot, but dude, I am so out of my element running trucks at road courses. Watching these guys get it done, they make it look so easy. I'm not excited for getting onto the racetrack throughout the rest of this week and moving into next Monday and slipping, sliding, and just going off track. I know I'm going to get better throughout the week. Practice makes perfect. And, maybe I could try to talk with Matt Sisler, learn a thing or two, but tell you what, man, these guys just make it look so easy. Oh, Sisler! Sideways, big time problem there, and that's exactly what we talked about. You don't want to make those types of mistakes. It's a very slow section of the racetrack, so he's able to get away with it. But if he had that slide in this part of the track, buddy, that could have been game, set, match. It's now 6 seconds between first and second, and those tires are hot and greasy coming into the final 2 turns before the final lap here at Circuit of the Americas.
Well, we knew there was going to be a little hiccup here or there, but even with that, Sisler is going to go into this final lap with over a 6-second lead.
Yeah, he has been absolutely lights out all day. He's led almost... he's got to have led at least 30 laps. Maybe we can pull that up there on the bottom. I think he's got 34. Well, it's about to be 34. As he leads his 38th lap this time around. Coming up through the S's now into that hard left-hand turn to cut the east end off of the racetrack. You saw that flag man just waving vividly. He's very excited about the white flag. He's had himself a long day of not even having to throw the caution. Coming up through the stadium section, and like we talked about, Matt Sisler. He has been so strong. He's been a consistent competitor in this league when he does show up. A couple of weeks ago, just about a month ago, he was finally able to break through and get his first win at Nashville. After finishing second to Charlie Widener twice last year. Charlie Widener made the final pass, made the pass for the win on Matt Sisler, and now he's coming through this wide, sweeping right-hand section into the final 2 left-handers, the Circuit of the Americas, to become the #1 Grand Prix racer in the Western States Racing League. Coming up off of the final corner, he's got some accelerating to do. Down the drag strip, Matt Sisler moves all the way to the left. He's going to swerve it back and forth. He knows he has won in Austin. Matt Sisler wins the Grand Prix of the Western States Racing League. He's going to burn it down right away. The cool thing about the road course is we ain't got to wait a full lap for him to burn it down. Chad Stearns comes home in second. Scott Patton going to round out the field here. Jacob Jensen, he's going to be able to finish in 4th. Brian Barnes comes across in 5th. Bob Beltrami in 6th. It's going to be William Fletcher coming home 7th. David Weaver in 8th. Julian Ricci, then Dustin Burns, Alan Bergen, and Scott Kukas rounding out the field here of 13 drivers who started the race. Ironically, we're used to saying there's 13 drivers here and maybe only 11 grid. Not the number specifically, but usually we get more people here than the people that grid. So we had 11 grid and all 13 show up, so that was pretty cool. Matt Sisler completing his victory lap, his 2nd win on the 2026 campaign in only his 2nd start. He's going to park it down here in the back stretch to do himself a nice little Kevin Harvick burnout. Though I wouldn't mind seeing him do a Tyler Reddick reverse burnout. That was pretty cool. Free Birdie's Toyota Tundra doing some burnouts in front of the Toyota signs, making the sponsors happy. Coming through the stadium section once again, your race winner, Matt Sisler. Let's see if we can get with anybody. Sisler's still on the track, so he ain't up here yet.
Pull Scott up.
Get with Scott Patton here, yeah. Hey Scott, it's Liam and Mike up in the booth. You got a copy?
Hey, I got you, Liam.
Well, you come home with third. It seemed like that 46 truck was mad fast, but I gotta ask, was it that pit lane miscue that kind of cost you that second position over Chad Stearns?
For sure, yeah, and then losing the track position, yeah, just making a bonehead move there on the entry. Wish I could have that one back. Give us a little bit of damage too. I don't know how much that actually played into it. I don't think a whole lot, but I think just the mental game of being behind him on track position and knowing that I gave it up by making the mistake myself, and then just chasing Chad the whole second half there. But he put up a heck of a race, super consistent, and it was a great race with him there.
Yeah, it really seemed like you guys weren't able to get away from each other. Talk about how he is as a competitor. What's it like racing with him? We know this is only his second time racing this year, but he is pretty consistent in this league usually.
Yeah, for sure. I've never raced with him before, so I don't know, but I was eager to get up there. You can kind of tell, you can eyeball competitors as you get close to him, and you can tell by how fast they're running and how consistent they're running that he's somebody for sure that I would have trusted to just kind of race door to door. I've had some really good races at road courses like this, and he's someone that I could have trusted for sure to race it out if I could have gotten to his bumper, but obviously that didn't happen, so hats off to him for sure.
Well, awesome stuff, man. Congrats on the podium finish. Before we let you go, who helps you get it done on that number 46 Chevy Silverado?
On the hood there's the New England Racing Museum. It's Dr. Dick Bergeron's project here after he finished in the broadcast booth. He lives in Massachusetts, and the museum that he started and founded is up on the property of New Hampshire Motor Speedway. So if you ever find yourself up here, check them out for sure. Open Saturdays on the off season, and then normal 7 days a week during the on season, especially race weekend if you find yourself up here in New Hampshire at the Magic Mile. And just Stone River Outfitters on the quarter panels for all your fly tying fishing needs. I don't know how many people are doing fly tying fishing up here, because we just had the nor'easter, but anyways, check them out at StoneRiverOutfitters.com. And yeah, I think that's about it. Appreciate you guys in the broadcast for sure. Enjoy watching these.
Awesome stuff, Scott. Well, we appreciate you joining us up here. Congrats on such a strong run here at Circuit of the Americas, and we'll be seeing you next time.
Sounds good, Liam. Appreciate it, Mike.
All right. Well, I don't see second place. We do have fourth place. But we also got the race winner, Matt Sisler. Mike, let's
How do I?
yeah, let's bring Matt Sisler up here. Matt, congrats on the win. I believe Mike's got you.
Yep, I'm here.
Hey, man. Well, drag you up in the middle of the conversation there with Jacob there, but you dominated the race basically from start to finish. How was it racing here on the road course?
Not too bad. First time I've been on the NASCAR version of the West Course. I was on the last year. Obviously, we didn't have this scan of it. So I was really learning the track limits, learning where I could push, how far I could run wide, and not risk myself spinning out or getting in someone's way if I had a problem. And I love COTA, so it is one of my favorite road courses to race. So was happy to make it here and thrilled to get our second win of the Western States season.
Yeah, second win in 2 tries, so you're batting 1,000 here in the Western States Racing League this season. You planning on sticking around and trying to take advantage of these wins, or just show up when you can and do what you can do?
I run in an earlier league on Tuesdays. And sometimes the timing doesn't work out. Luckily, we were on a road course over there tonight, so it was a quick, I was able to get over with plenty of time. Sometimes it'll be a snap decision. Other times, like I saw this one when Bob posted in the Discord, and I really wanted to do it. I was hoping we would get out of the Glen in time, and we did. So made my way over here because again, I love to race COTA. I think it's an underrated track. I do actually wish the trucks were still going here, but it is what it is. So yeah, just I'll try to make it when I can. Whenever I see a track that I like, or I can make it on time and not be really rushed leaving the other one and getting over here.
Definitely, man. Well, you had that big lead and had a little hiccup there on the second to last lap. How I was gathering it back in to be able to finish that race?
It caught me off guard. I didn't expect the truck to step out on me like it did right there through the infield section. I was already I could feel like pressure behind my eye. I think I'm starting to get a migraine or something, so I'll have to take something for it when we get out of here. But I started to feel it and just missed the apex. Truck stepped out, and it was one of those situations where you have to figure out whether or not you're gonna try to make the corner and probably lose it, or just let it run wide and let it catch itself. And so just let it run wide and catch itself. I knew I had, at that point, like a 7-8 second lead on Chad and Scott back there.
Yeah, definitely, man. Well, congrats on your second win. Anybody else want to thank before you get out of here tonight?
Oh, I'll start with you guys so I don't forget. You guys always do a great job over at SRM. Always incredible to go back and watch the races. Like I said, you guys do an awesome job. You're one of the best in the business at this. Thank Bob for putting on Western States. It's always fun to get the chance to come out here and battle it out in the trucks. I do like these trucks quite a bit. Three Birdies Golf, our sponsor for our lovely black and white Tundra TRD Pro tonight. Go check them out. They make a lot of really cool merch. For a golfer or just for wearing around. They make a lot of nice golf clothes, apparel, stuff like that over at 3birdiesgolf.com. Want to shout out not my sponsors, my followers over on my Twitch, which I'm still live on now. Twitch.tv/SysMoneyGaming. You can catch me live most nights of the week doing iRacing, and thank everybody because this has been a lot of fun to come back and run with you guys again.
Definitely. Well, congrats once again.
Well, Matt, before we let you go, I do just want to say, Matt, it's always great to see you here. I love seeing you in here, and I love seeing you do so well. I know we're not supposed to be biased up in the booth, but we do go a little back, so it's great to see you doing so well, and just want to say congrats again on the win here, man, and looking forward to seeing what you can do when you do show up.
All right, I appreciate it, Liam. At least this time when I pull off a win, I don't have to dive through the grass to avoid a wreck. Because I think that was that was the first one you saw was Midday Racing League. That goes a long way back.
Way back, yeah. Yeah.
All right. I appreciate it, Liam. Always a pleasure.
Yes, sir. Enjoy this one, man. We'll see you next time.
Will do. Take care, guys.
Well, I think that's going to settle it for us here in Austin, Texas. The Lone Star State definitely provided an exciting race, and I got to say, I'll be transparent. We didn't expect to have this much action out of a 13-car road course race for 40 laps, but we had amazing action through and through. We had battles that stayed together. We had pit strategy that kind of kept us on our toes for a little while, and William Fletcher, he went all the way to lap number 24 before making a pit stop, showing me that the numbers I was given was completely wrong.
Yeah, it definitely did. But it was a heck of a race. Glad we were able to broadcast a little touch and go there at the beginning. But these guys definitely put on a show as always.
Yeah, the Western States Racing League is one of the best in the business, and there's no place I would rather be on a Tuesday night than up here in the booth with you, Mike, other than potentially being on the racetrack. That might be kind of cool. But Alan and I can work that out later. But that's going to do it for us here on Sim Racing Media. Can't thank you guys enough for tuning in live on YouTube and hanging out with us on a Tuesday night. Before we let you go, I always like to quote Cletus and say, do it for Dale and be like Biff. I'll have to quote our friend Tony. Say, as you guys walk through the streets of life, please don't play in traffic. Take it easy, folks.